Today we're talking about Klamath County's high desert climate, and let's get into it. Hi, I'm Darlene Humphreys. I have received questions about the climate here. Apparently someone has made a video, and there's been some comments in my videos about how horrible the climate is here, how unbearable the weather is, how brutal the winters are, and so let's break it down. I've lived here over 20 years, and full disclosure, I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, and unless you've experienced lake effect snow, it snows in feet. It snows in feet. It doesn't snow in inches there. It snows in feet sometimes. So my bearings on what a horrible winter is and how unbearable the winters are, and how long, cold, snowy winters is a little bit jaded. But that being said, Klamath is not that bad. We have 300 days of sunshine a year. We do not have long gray periods. If it's gray and cloudy and we don't see the sun for a week, I'm starting to get like a little antsy. I mean, we do have a lot of sunshine here. We don't have the long periods where the snow just piles up and piles up and piles up and you never see the sun, and it's just storm after storm just dumping snow, and you're out there shoveling a couple times a day trying to keep after it. Klamath doesn't have that. What typically happens is it will get cold overnight, it will snow a few inches maybe, and then throughout the day it'll warm up and the snow will melt off, and that's it. Sometimes it does accumulate, sometimes it stays cold during the day and we do get some snow. But I run a front wheel drive car. I have never put chains on, not once. And I'm a realtor. I go all over the county. There's some places that I would not go in the winter without four-wheel drive. I mean, we still have dirt roads and gravel roads and unmaintained roads. We have all of that. But if you live fairly close to town and you have to commute to town, it's going to be fine. 97, 140, 66, all the major thoroughfares through town are all very well maintained. ODOT does a fabulous job. As soon as there's a couple flurries in there, they are out. They are out getting after it, and they don't play around. They don't let it stack up and then go out and plow at 7, 8 in the morning when the commute starts. No, they are out. They are taking care of it. The city and the county have the same policy. As soon as there's snow in the forecast, they're gearing up, and when it starts to snow, they're out taking care of it. So that's the snow situation. This is another thing. Many years ago, bought a quad to plow snow, just in case, because we did have a couple winters where, we'd get 6, 8 inches of snow. It hasn't been out of the shop in 10 years. It's got the plow on it still. If I fired it up, it runs. It hasn't been out of the shop in years. That's how much snow happens in Klamath Falls. So let's put the snow and the terrible winters and the horrible driving conditions and the video that talks about that we get snowed in the winter. Now, like I said, I've lived here 20 years, never been snowed in, ever, not even. Okay, let's move on. So when you're in a high desert climate, you do have cool mornings, cool evenings, cool throughout the night, and then throughout the day, especially in the summertime, it'll warm up and there'll be wild temperature swings. It's nothing in the summer to have like a 40-degree temperature swing here. It'll be in the 80s, 90s during the day, and at night it'll get down into the 40s. And so in the morning you've got your hoodie on, and then by 1 o'clock in the afternoon it's 85 degrees and got the hoodie off and you're in your tee until the sun goes down and it starts cooling off. And that's what high desert is all about. If you've ever been to Vegas or Reno or one of those cities, Vegas is only about 2,000 feet of elevation. Reno is a little bit higher than us. I think they're like 4,500 feet of elevation, but it's the same thing. Hot, warm during the day, then it cools off at night, and wild temperature swings. And the feet of elevation thing is something I never even gave when I lived on the East Coast. Never heard anybody talking about feet above sea level and all that stuff. But in the West, it's a big deal, because if you're traveling and you're going over the passes, you have to know where the snow levels are. Because if you leave Klamath at 4,100 feet and you go up 58, or you go down I-5 and go down 97 and go through I-5 and go that way, there's places where it's higher, so you have to know where the snow levels are. And so that does become a concern, and that's not something when you live on the East Coast and you don't have the mountains and stuff. It's something you never talk about. I mean, feet of elevation. I don't know. I don't know what the feet of elevation my city's at. Klamath is 4,100. Chiloquin is a little bit higher. Keno's a little bit higher. Crater Lake is getting up towards 9,000. And yes, it has already snowed at Crater Lake, but it's already gone. So that is what the summers are about. Springs are fairly short, but we do get some rain, and that makes everything bloom, and it's beautiful here in the summertime. And fall is nice. We don't have fall colors like you do on the East Coast. We don't have a lot of the hardwood trees and the trees that produce the gorgeous fall colors. We do have aspens that turn like a very pretty goldenrod yellow color, but as far as trees and fall viewing and stuff, we don't have the pretty colors that you do enjoy when you go to the East Coast, especially up in the Northeast, which that's one thing Erie has hands down over this area. They have some gorgeous falls. But the Finger Lakes region in New York, put that on your bucket list. Finger Lakes region of New York, absolutely gorgeous in the fall, and the grapes are in season, so everything smells like grapes. It's lovely. So when you see things online about talking about the horrible precipitation, I'm going to throw a precipitation map up here to show you just how much precipitation we get. And when you look online, you'll see different levels. Like one site will say that it's 24 to 25 inches a year. There's another site that says it's 35 to 40 inches of precipitation a year. That depends on where you're at in Klamath County. Klamath County is a huge county. I've told you guys this before. We're 6,000 square miles. We are a big county. So, and another thing about high desert climate is we don't have humidity. This is the best thing about living in the high desert. When it was pouring rain here a couple weekends ago, and it rained, off and on throughout the day, the humidity was 40%. 40% when it was raining outside. It's glorious to not have humidity, because if you've been back east or you've been to the south where humidity is a huge factor, you can take a shower and feel like you're breathing water. And you feel like you need to take a shower again when you go back outside, because it's just so sticky and hot and miserable. Even if it's only 75 degrees, if the humidity is 100%, you're like just yeah. We don't have that. Klamath Falls is in the high desert, and I think the highest humidity I've ever seen here was like 50%. It's just not humid here, and that is not hard to get used to. The 300 days of sunshine, the low humidity, not hard to get used to at all. So when you see stuff online and you see the comments about how horrific this weather is in Klamath Falls, and it's intolerable because it's so hot and it's so cold, and the winters are so long and miserable, and they get snowed in there all the time, and all this precipitation, no, it doesn't. That's not true. That's just not true, and that's why you guys send your questions to me so I can address them. Thank you for joining me.